Hi everyone. Just kind of wanted to offer my perspective on clear hip circles while kind of playing around with the narration component of PowerPoint here. Okay. Um, for me, I think the big thing that's kind of evolved or changed with my teaching of the skill was this idea of being a little bit more controlled. Particularly, whether obviously we have to have some control coming out of handstand, but even from a casto like horizontal position here. And this is a screenshot of a Dominique Dawes from I think 2000, kind of when she made her comeback there for the 2000 games. And I kind of did a few kind of screenshots through different positions. She's actually doing a Shabashnikova. So it's not like a clear up to hand or anything, but still the positions are relevant. So, but that's probably been the biggest thing. When I was first kind of starting out as coaching, I would go to camps and clinics and congresses and so on and so forth, and I'd hear other coaches give their lectures or hear them coaching, and it was always about you got to drop back fast, really drop into it quick. You're gonna feel out of control, and for a long time that was kind of my MO as far as coaching cues and my thought process. And then as I really started watching the skill, to me the skill really happens right in here as they hit this kind of position in the next slide here. Okay, right here, I actually want them to control this position, keep their shoulders above the bar, and then as they start to get into this position here, and the shoulders start to move back behind the bar, that's where I want the snap to happen. Okay, I don't want it to happen from the top of the cast. I certainly don't want it happening too high in the cast, from handstand. Okay, there's just no way they can control that. There's no way they can time it. It's too quick. It's too fast. Okay, so that's been kind of the biggest evolution of my thought process on the skill is more control down through this position, and it allows them to be able to hold the shapes better. Okay, if you get going too fast, it's really hard to hold position. Now, there's some genetic freaks out there that can pull it off, okay? But for the average kid, that's very, very difficult, all right? And so from this position, this is where I want to see that snap happen. I want to see them drop and get up underneath the bar quickly. So those shoulders will drop right down, okay? And I want it to be more of kind of a U pattern or an oval pattern. So basically, they drop under and that bar pulls right down, and then right as they get upside down, they open it and try to time that rebound or that recoil effect, because the bar is going to have a lot of stored energy in it. Okay, so then the next position here, basically they try to get upside down quickly. Okay, and those shoulders will almost be directly under the bar, not quite. They're still going to be over here a little bit. Okay, and obviously, ideally, the kid would be in a little bit more of a candle, so on and so forth. I don't know, I've really seen that happen very often, like totally flat hips. But we kind of have our ideals and ideal model. But anyway, what's going to typically happen if you watch this in slow-mo, you'll always see the bar right about here, kind of at the bottom of the thighs or just above the knees. And that's actually a great cue to kind of work on the timing of that opening. And those kids drop back, touch right above the knees there, and then as soon as you hit, pop it open, okay? And you want to make sure that they're utilizing the bar. They're like throwing the bar to open it. A lot of kids want to start kind of moving the body to open, and that's usually where you're going to get like the head throwing and all that sort of stuff, the arching, okay? Because they're going to start moving the body, start moving the feet, okay? They're not utilizing the bar effectively, okay? They're not utilizing that stored energy. Okay, they're going to feel that bar pulled down. They're going to feel heavy underneath the bar. Okay, and then they want to pop that thing right open. All right, so that's kind of my perspective. Okay, again, sort of the more control on the descent, and then snap under the bar. Okay, and the knees can touch as long as the hips don't touch. Okay, there's lots of gymnasts that will touch the knees, and this is something that the coaches that really taught me a lot early on. Something that they really stressed and that they had learned somewhere. And so that, and then if you start watching the skill and you see that all the time. Okay, and so like I said, some kids will touch the bar and that's okay. Some don't, you know, it's not a prerequisite, but I think as a timing thing and a learning thing, I think it's very valuable. Okay, so anyway, one more thing here. I just want to touch on the wrist shifting, and there's always some debate on this. And for years, you know, it was you know, I go to these lectures and things, and you know, you got to shift your hands early and shift your hands early. And you know, as I watch the skill and I watch kids shift their hands early, they all bent their arms, so it really didn't make a lot of sense. Okay, I've spent years, you know, so I mean, just from observation, you know, I was like, you know, it doesn't work. Okay, so a later wrist shift, obviously there's a fine line there. You know, you can be too late, but usually kids are less prone to bend their arms. Okay, and I think the reason for that, and I've tried to study anatomy books and try to understand the relationship between, you know, the elbow flexors and elbow extensors, and you know, how they cross the wrist joint and so on and so forth. But I think I was reading a research paper not too long ago, and I really think the actual issue here is when we shift early, you're going to end up in this extended position. And obviously, you know, as you're coming around the bar shifting early, your weight is still kind of above the bar, so that's going to kind of impact that extension position. And I think what happens is it creates some, whenever you extend your wrist, you actually create some passive forces in the fingers. And so I think that kind of alters and affects your grip, as well as kind of the hook of the dowel on the bar. And so I think what happens is that, you know, in order to stabilize and get control, you pretty much are going to have to probably bend your arms. Okay, whereas if you focus more on getting the shoulders open, okay, you can maintain a little bit better of a hook position, okay, and keep that dowel under the bar a little bit longer, okay. And so I think that affords you the ability to keep straighter arms and not have to bend those arms so early, okay, because you have a little bit more control. And then as the shoulders get open, it's, you know, then you just slide around and then push out on the bar. Okay, so I really think that I've always felt like there's an anatomical rationale for this. I think I'm not certain that I'm 100% right, but I think it may have something to do with that. I know there's some sort of anatomical connection, but because you know, if you extend those hands wrists too early, you'll, you know, I have not seen it, you know, you're going to bend your arms. Okay. So anyway, that's kind of my perspective on the skill, my perspective on wrist shifting, so on and so forth. You know, not everybody's going to agree. There's more than one way to skin the cat, as they say. So, but hopefully maybe something in here makes some sense. And anyway, you know, I think the skill is, people make it a lot more difficult than I really think it is. It's obviously not an easy skill, don't get me wrong. But I think if you kind of break it down and you slow it down a little bit, I think kids will have a lot more success with learning it because they're going to be able to hold those positions a little bit easier. So anyway, maybe that'll help somebody, and if not, that's okay too. Anyway, take care now.